I'm Rosa, welcome. So, we are, like I promised, we're talking about the other books that I've missed for the monthly wrap-ups, because I really want to get into monthly wrap-ups again. I just had like a little bit of a third of a year where it just was not really, or not even third, a quarter, where I don't know, I wasn't really feeling it for some reason. It's not been in the right headspace. So we got a lot of catching up to do, and so today we will be talking about the September and October books that I missed doing wrap-ups for. I have a total of 12 books that we're gonna go through, and again there's a good mix of like a little bit of everything, some romance, some romantasy, sci-fi, graphic novels, a little bit of everything. I will make sure to leave links to all of the books in the description box down below if you want to go check them out, because I know that I'm not necessarily the best at summarizing books. I tend to be all over the place, and some of you guys might enjoy that. Some of you guys might be a little bit frustrated with it, so I will make sure to leave those links in the description box down below if you want to go check them out there instead. They're to both Waterstones but also US Amazon, so do with that what you will. Let's get started though. We're starting out with a romance that I was massively hyped for. I think, also, my chair's gonna make noises throughout this entire video. Let's just ignore it. I have not gotten another chair yet, so yes. But as far as I could see before going into this book, this was like massively popular. I don't think I loved it as much as I wanted to, but Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I will say this had good qualities to it, so it's not a complete waste of time. Okay. I actually did enjoy it, just not as much as I wanted to. Do you know what I mean? So in this book, we got a little bit of an age gap between our two lead characters. We follow our lead girl who is a doctor. She is also a daughter in a very, very wealthy family, so there are certain expectations set for her, and she is coming out of a not very happy relationship with, I want to say, a guy. I don't know if he's like necessarily abusive, but not a good guy. Okay. And so one day she's like traveling from somewhere to another place and ends up basically in a ditch, and so she has to get help from this nearby town, and a guy comes and helps her. She goes back to the town, goes to this bar, gets in talk with another guy, or is it the same guy? It could possibly be the same guy, and I just cannot remember that little detail. But they start talking, one thing leads to another. There might be a little bit of a bet as well among him and his friends that he's not even partaking in, but he ends up, you know, they end up going home together. Stuff happens. She's had the time of her life that night and basically can't really shake, like, she can't forget about him again. And so despite there being a long drive between the city that she lives in and the town that he lives in, she kind of continues to go visit him now and then. They are from two completely different worlds. He is from a small town, she's from a big city. He's not really got an education, but he's very talented with like furniture. He crafts furniture. She has a very highly regarded education. She's a doctor. He doesn't come from money, she does. They are from two completely different worlds, and she's very hesitant to jump into this because she knows that he won't be accepted by her family. That she's having a hard time with her family as well. So there's a whole thing there. Also because for some reason, or not for some reason, but her brother, who was supposed to take over like the family business, has decided to marry some pop star and has basically taken himself out of the picture and is no longer a contender to this inheritance. So it's kind of all on her, and there's a whole lot of stuff going on there. So a bit of a, you know, some serious talk in between, some humorous moments as well, a lot of charming moments, very cute, and definitely going from unhealthy surroundings to healthy ones, which is very lovely to see. So I did really enjoy this. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I really wanted to. I can't really pinpoint why, but I felt like there was just something missing for some reason. So I'll give this another read at some point in a couple of years when I remember fewer details from the story, because I think we could really get along. Also because the lead character is she's a bit older than me as well, which I really like to see in romance, because I think a lot of romances tend to include, like, the guy is, I can't remember if he's a bit younger than me, but the guy is a bit on the younger side. Not on the younger side, I think he's like late 20s or something, but she's like closing in on 40 or something like that. And so it's nice to see a bit of like more mature people in romance books. I feel like a lot of them include people in their mid-20s or early 20s. So definitely enjoyed that part of it. And there's a goat as well. There's a goat in it too. Just thought I'd let you know. There's a goat. I think I have what is technically considered the sequel to this, which is it Yours Truly? If I have it, it's wrapped up, so but it's the one that has like a very green cover. I think it's technically considered the sequel to this, so it might be like a companion novel or something, but this is a standalone. But we'll be reading that at some point. I think it's Yours Truly, but I'm not sure. Then I had, oh my gosh, okay, listen. And I was so excited to talk about these actually because my gosh, do I not get enough opportunities to talk about these books on the channel. Or I mean, I do. I just take them. I'm not giving them, I just do it anyway. But I had a reread of Echotar and Echomath. So what I did though was that I listened to the graphic audiobook for the first book and then also the graphic audiobook for the first half, and then I read the last half because at the time that I finished, the second half wasn't out yet on Libby. I think it is now, along with both parts of Echo War, so I might give them a go at some point, but I might also just read Echo War. I don't know. So many opportunities, like so many options. What am I gonna do? I am someone who does not know how to make decisions, which is why my TBR looks like that, so I don't have to make the decisions myself. And I'm given all these options and I don't know what to do with them. But I'll figure it out. Let me know. What do you think? Should I read the audio, or should I listen to the audiobook, or should I read the hardcover? I also need to read the first half of this anyway because I haven't tapped it, only the second half. Oh my gosh, and there's a whole new book coming out in her universe here in January. What do I do? Let me know. Help a girl out. But anyway, these are romantasy, I would say, but like, whereas Throne of Glass is like heavier on the fantasy, her Echotar series, Sarah J Maas, her Echotar series is definitely heavier on the romance. So I would kind of call these romantasy, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of intertwinedness in her books. And so don't think that means you don't have to pay attention to the details, okay? But this is like, if I could mention 3 books that are my absolute favorite books, Echomath would be one of them. I love it so much. I was kind of, I wouldn't say I was going through a reading slump when I started this, but I was just in a slump, and all the feelings that I felt while reading it really helped me through that. So the reread came at a good time. In the series though, we follow Feyre, who is a human, but she's living in a town that's very close to the border to the Fey realms, or the Fey kingdoms, whatever you want to call them. And so Fey are known to be very dangerous. And she, because her family has been going through a situation, her father is no longer able to take care of her and her sisters, she feels like she's forced almost to go hunt in the forest to take care of them for him. But then one day she ends up shooting a wolf that she's very aware is actually a fae that has just transformed into a wolf. And she also knows that it's very dangerous for her to do that. She manages to shoot it in the eye so it dies. But then later on, this very powerful fae shows up at her door and is like, an eye for an eye, so you come with me because you took one of my wolves, or one of my fae people, I don't know. An eye for an eye, essentially. So she's taken off to the Fey realms, where she's basically like, things are weird because these people are these Fey are wearing masks, and this guy is like super hostile, but then at the same time he's like sort of charming, and you know, things are weird. She finds out that there may have been, I don't know what else to call this, I'm going to call it a curse, and she's slowly getting interested in kind of trying to help them lift this curse as well. And while this is going on, she's also trying to come with terms, come to terms with the fact that she's basically stuck in Fey realms because she's not allowed to go back. And growing closer to this High Lord. Yes. But that's all I'm going to say. It's fine. It pains me that I have to leave it at that, but if you know, you know. It's okay. So I really love this series. I love it so much. And I need you guys to tell me if I should listen to the graphic audiobook of the next books or if I should read them. I don't know if there is a graphic audiobook for Silver Flames, but if there is, I'm not even sure that I dare listen to it. Graphic audiobooks, by the way, if you're curious, are books that have like, they almost call them like audiobooks like movies. So like you hear footsteps when they're walking, you hear birds chirping in the background if they're in the forest, stuff like that. If they're walking on tiles, you can hear that. If they're walking on gravel, you can hear that. If they're kissing, you can hear kissing noises. So like there's that too. I wouldn't necessarily say, I mean, I didn't get to stuff in this, but I did get to certain stuff in this, and I was a bit like, I don't know. But the rest is like those situations, it gets a little bit weird for me personally, but everything else is like super cool with the background music as well. Love that. The drums during you know, this event in Ekotar is so cool. You can hear that as well. A lot of like sound effects, and I really enjoy that part of it. Just not the like noises during, no, it's a bit I don't love that bit, but like it would also be awkward if they left it out. You get what I mean? So also not distasteful, by the way. Like there's not too much of it. Just want to say there's not too much of it. So, but yeah, they're just like a whole different experience for audiobooks, and I feel like for someone like me who's not very good at listening to audiobooks, it definitely kept me, it kept my attention on listening much more than a normal audiobook does. Because it's like you can clearly see pictures in your head while you're listening to it. So if you weren't really sure what it was, that's what it is, and they're super cool. I have borrowed them through Libby, which yes, if you are in Denmark, you can actually sign up to Libby. No, I can't talk you through it because I can't remember how I did it, but it's very basic. Just follow the instructions that are given to you. It's tied to your security, your national security number, because that's how libraries are done in Denmark. So it's not even like there's no workaround. It's basically just like you have straight up access to Libby. I don't know. Thank you to the Danish libraries for making that possible for us though, because as someone who prefers to read in English, it's a lot better. The selection is a lot better than it is on the Danish sites. So thank you. But yes, Echo Math, one of my favorite books. I love it so much. And I really needed that reread. Now I just need Echo War and Silver Flames as well. I love those books too, but I'm scared of tears. I love the books, I'm just not ready to, confront those emotions. You know what I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't want to do it. Anyway, one of the book clubs, I think it was the September pick, was the primary pick for September was One Dark Window. By the way, if you want to check out the book club, there's always a link to it in the pinned comment. We're reading What the River Knows here in January along with Starling House. So if it's of any interest, come join us. But we read One Dark Window in September. This is an adult fantasy with romance, and it was so good. This was another one of those where a lot of the book club picks have been so good that it's been a struggle for me to not binge the books. Like, I am struggling. I'm struggling to tell myself stop reading. And this is one of those. The magic system in this was so unique. I should probably tell you what it's about. Yes, we follow Elspeth, who is kind of like, I don't want to call her weird, because that's not how I see her, but I think everyone else sees her in this town that she lives in. Everyone knows that there's something different about Elspeth, so she's kind of like the weird girl. She has been touched by a curse or whatever, however you want to phrase it, when she was younger. So there's magic in this town, but there's like it's not a plague, it's like a magical plague or something. I think that's the best way I can describe it, but it's basically tied to the forest, and so she touched it when she was younger. It did not kill her. However, there's been certain downsides to that happening, such as she's carrying around a nightmare that talks to her. It's a bit like a creature she's carrying around in her head that talks to her, and is slowly also taken over. Which reminds me, I really need to read the sequel. What the heck? How have I not read the sequel yet? What's wrong with me? Anyway, and so her chance at kind of like getting this to stop, but also I'm gonna just a couple of steps back. One day when she's out in the forest, she bumps into a highwayman who later turns out to be a guy. I can't remember exactly what his title is, but he's like known or something. I think he's like the cousin to the prince or something like that. And he is running a group that's trying to get these cards back because this magic system in this world is basically made of tarot cards. And so for them to lift the curse that is both killing people and stuff like that, they have to collect the whole card set. Elspeth, one of her abilities after being cursed or touching the curse, touching this magic, is that she can actually see the tarot cards. So she ends up helping them, trying to collect them. And in the process, also, she's at the same time trying to help herself, because if she can lift the curse, she can stop this nightmare taking over. So I think that's the best way I can describe it. There's it's like a mystery factor over this book as well. A little bit of horror now and then, but like not, I wouldn't necessarily call it scary per se. There's just like horror vibes to it. The magic system is so interesting because it's tied to the cards, and so they have like 12 different ones, I think. There's one of them is unique, but the rest have like multiples of the same ones, and so they need basically one of each card to collect the whole set. So the one that there's only one of, they need to find that card. Yes. And each of the cards, if you touch them, if you tap them, you get the ability that's tied to the card. So people are carrying around tarot cards so they can tap into the magic, but magic also have a negative effect on the people using the magic. So it's very interesting with the tarot cards. I really liked that part of this book. I don't think it was a full 5 stars for me, but I think I gave it close to 5 because I really enjoyed it. Thought it was so good, beautifully written as well. I like Elspeth as a character. I like the romance as well in this. I don't think it's too in your face. It has a nice slow build up. They're not enemies or rivals or anything like that, but they're definitely a little bit like, he's taken with her obviously, but she's very hesitant because there's a voice in her head telling her all different kinds of things, and you know. And she doesn't want to tell anybody she has a voice in her head either. Like, how do you get close to someone when you're carrying around a secret like that? You know, of course you'd be hesitant. And so it was a nice part of it as well. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a huge part of it. Sure, the two of them are related, like to the, they're not related. I realized that sounded weird. I realized that. I'm just gonna stop myself there. They're not related. But like the two of them meeting does have a big impact on, like, it's a big part of the story, because otherwise she wouldn't be helping them with the collecting of the cards. But I wouldn't necessarily say that's like a huge part of the plot either. So, a little bit of fake dating in there too, in case you wanted some fantasy fake dating. It's like a hint of it. But yeah, it was really good. I really very much enjoyed this. I cannot believe that I've not... Is this how it looks like when you're reading the book? I didn't even know. I haven't done this, and I have not noticed until this very moment. But mine has ripped pages. I have not read this book, so this is not done by me. What the heck? Oh my gosh. And I'm guessing that it's too late to write Fairy Loot about it, because why the heck would you check in the middle of the book to see if there are ripped pages? Oh my gosh, I hate that. Imagine if I'd never gone through it and had sold it and someone had bought it and then noticed the ripped pages. And I just wouldn't have known. That's so random as well. Like, how did this happen? It's like straight up ripped down all the way to the spine. So odd. Very fitting for the book, but like so odd. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go through all my Fairy Loot books now to see if they have ripped pages, because now I'm paranoid. Anyway, well, that's One Dark Window. Loved it. Next up, we have a book that I am very excited to talk about, because I read Red Rising by Pierce Brown, adult sci-fi, super, how do you, not necessarily like bloody, but gory. There's gore in it, and blood, and like action, and people being beaten and killed. A lot of it. Like a surprising amount of it, actually. It was brutal. I think that's the word that I'm trying to look for. Brutal. It was very brutal. So we follow, what's his name? Darrow. Yes, his name is Darrow. His name is on the front cover, so thanks for that. Thank you, Scott Sickler, for that one. But Darrow, we follow Darrow. He is a red. So The population has basically been split up into different colors. The red are like the lowest of the lowest. They are basically slaves. They're working to make this area inhabitable, or this planet. I think it's Mars as well. Make it inhabitable for people and or humans. And so he's a very hard worker. He's very good at what he does as well. And he's kind of come to terms with this is just how things are. He was born into it, so like he doesn't know any better. This is just how his life is. But then at the same time, like they're not necessarily like people around him are, especially his wife, not girlfriend, she's a wife, is like, there's an uprising kind of brewing a little bit, but they don't really have like a front figure to gather everyone to start this uprising properly. And so something happens one day though. Something that shakes Darrow a lot, and he ends up, without telling you exactly what happens and what happens to Darrow, he ends up at this place where he is more or less talked into or convinced and agrees to become a gold. The gold are the highest of the highest in this society. They have to turn him into one. Also so that he can partake in this, I don't know if I want to call it like a competition, initiation. It's kind of a weird one, but sci-fi is always a little bit strange. But he has to partake in this. Let's call it a competition. It's not really a competition. But for the lack of a better word, to basically be accepted into their systems, and like, so he can be given a role in there as part of the society. And it's brutal. It's a very brutal initiation phase. It lasts for, I don't know how long. I feel like it could have lasted for years, but like, I don't know. A whole lot. It's a whole lot. I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed reading this so much. It was like non-stop from the start until the end. And you're so frustrated with Darrow at the start because mostly so I love Hunger Games, for example, right? But I feel like we can talk about this now because it's very old by now, or it's like 10 years old. I don't know. It's old, okay. But Katniss in that was never really, to begin with, a very active participant in this uprising. She just sort of became like a symbol for them. And then she started partaking in it, if you get what I mean. But Darrow, you kind of go into some books like this with rebellions or uprisings and expect the lead characters to just be like super loud and spokespeople for these other people, their people that want to do the uprising. And Darrow is just not like that. He's just like, well, this is how it is. This is just how my life is. I'm gonna work until I die, and that's basically how it is. You're so frustrated with him, like just listen to your wife. Anyway. So, yes, it's nice to see a change, but my gosh, does he have to go through a lot. You start to question the people around him as well, in regards to like several different things. Like, could some of them also be changed like he is? Are they all on his side? Are they against him? Like, there's no friendships in this competition. Not really, maybe like a couple, but like, you really don't know who you trust in this. So yeah, a whole lot. This was so good. I'm very, very excited to go into, what's it called? Golden Sun. That's what it's called. I have it right here. I also have Morning Star, and I'm very happy that I have the sequels to this because I'm very, very sure that I'm going to enjoy them very thoroughly. And so, yes, Red Rising was so good. It was really so good. I tapped it a lot. Like that's a lot of taps. A whole lot of taps. But like, so much happening in this, so much brutality as well, so many sad moments, so many shock moments as well. There's a bit of a romance in there, but at the same time you don't really know if it's a romance. It's not, it's like a super tiny part of it, so like definitely not a romance. But there's a little bit of it in there. And yeah, I'm excited. So I enjoyed this a lot. Can't remember what I gave it though, but it's on Goodreads if you want to know. Another romance that I read and loved, but not as much as I enjoyed The Love Hypothesis, is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This was so cute though. I still thoroughly enjoyed this, just not as much as The Love Hypothesis. In this book we follow... Do I have tabs in here? I do. I felt that. In this book, we follow Bree. Is her name Bree? B. So many character names. How am I supposed to keep track of all of them? Anyway, we follow B, who works, she's gotten an internship at NASA, and she's like super good at what she does. The best of the best. But, or not an internship, she just has to work on this project. It's not an internship. That's what I used to call it before I read the book. Yes, but she's working on this project at NASA with a guy called Levi, who's an engineer. And so they have to work together. The thing is that B knows Levi, and he's always been very against her. Like, he's always had a little bit of like an off attitude towards her, and so she finds it very surprising when he's all of a sudden backing up what she's saying, and like, he's in her corner, if you get what I mean, because things are happening with this project that it feels like someone's sabotaging it, or it's like a weird mix of coincidences that just happen to be sabotaging their project. And so when she starts pointing fingers and stuff, he's actually backing her up. Very surprising to her. Although at the start, you know, she was a bit like, is it him who's doing it? Like, you don't know. And so it's about them trying to figure out what the heck is going on with their project, basically, while also getting to know each other a little bit better, because Levi is slowly, I almost said unfreezing, but that doesn't make any sense. Warming up to her, maybe? Yeah, let's go with that. And there's also a cat. And he has a cat. There are 2 cats, actually. A lot of science talk, but that's very standard for Ellie Hazelwood. I very much love this. I also liked reading about the parts of how it's like as a woman in STEM, because I think it's not necessarily that it's super negative for Brie. A lot of it is her reactions to people saying things that she's assuming that they mean certain things because she's been told that thing before. So it's just nice to see, like, I mean, it's not nice, but it's nice that it's being addressed, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to get into school, for example. So my dad sent me a degree, I think is called IT architect, because I think he saw the word architect and was like, she will like that. But the thing is, it's not so much about architecture, it's about IT and infrastructure. And I'm like, I told him straight up, I don't want to work in IT. It's not that I don't think I can do it. It's not that I don't think I would find it interesting. I don't want to work in IT. I don't want to work in a male-dominated space, because I know, I know. And I know it's not necessarily like that for all women in male-dominated spaces, but it is like that for some women in male-dominated spaces. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be stuck in that space for the rest of my life. So I don't want to feel like I have to fight for it all the time. Like, I respect the heck out of the women that choose to ignore it and say, well, then we fight. But I just personally don't want to do that. Not if I have the choice to do something else. Because IT is also not what I want to work with the most. So, but yeah, so it's nice to like have some things touched on, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. Not that I find it positive to read about. But yeah, so, but this was lovely. It was great. Their relationship is quite cute. I don't want to say too much, but there is a trope in this that I'm like, yes. Every single time, I'm like, yes. I love that. I love to see it. And the trope did occur in this. It's not like a one-bed trope. It's not like that. It's a character-related one. And I'm just, it hits me right in the gut every time. I'm like, oh, of course. Of course they do. So, but anyway. Very excited to be reading Love Theoretically at some point. Then I had a book that I DNF'd, which is a YA fantasy called An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I started this, I think I DNF'd it. It's like 300 pages. I listened to the audiobook and decided to DNF it after, I think it was the audiobook at least. Or I might have borrowed it on Libby or something as an ebook. I don't have it. So, but I think it was around like 30 page or 30%. Maybe less than that even. And it was so insta-lovey. I cannot exactly tell you what it's about other than our lead girl is an artist who is hired by some fae dude to paint a portrait. She's a very well-known painter among the fae, and so she's very sought after. And so the Fae are also known to be very dangerous in this book, but she works for them, so she has their favor and stuff, and she's very sought after. My problem with the book, though, is that if there's something that I hate to see, that unfortunately does happen. I feel like it happens more in YA with romance than it does in romance, especially adult romance. It was so insta-lovey. As in, like, 30% into the book, or however far I get into it, she was already like, I love him. And I'm sitting there like, you have talked to him literally twice. Only twice. How can you already love him? Like, I don't want that. I don't want that in my books. I hate to read that. So I was like, never mind. Just gonna quit it right here. Don't want to read the rest. It's fine. I don't need to know what happens because I'm not dealing with that. I don't know. I just get like, it's super annoying. I don't love that trope. And unfortunately I see it happening in YA fantasy. I'm guessing like maybe they've just got a smaller amount of pages, so if they want a romance plot in there it has to progress very quickly or something, but I don't like to see it. Like, she very literally was like, I love him. And I'm like, huh, you don't know him. So it was a no. Yeah. My patience said, nope, we're not doing this today. Then I listened to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is the first one in the Narnia Chronicles, and it was, I don't think I have to summarize it. It's a very old, like, classic fantasy. Kind of like a, would you call that a middle grade? It's middle grade friendly at least, but like, it was written back when there wasn't really anything called middle grade, I think. It's a children's friendly book as well. It's not scary, gory, or anything like that. It's a fairy tale. And it was so lovely. And I read it when it started getting colder outside. I wanted something cozy, something that would just give me like winter vibes. So like late October, I think it was. So good. I have not read those books before. I have watched the movies several times, but never read the books, not listened to the audiobooks or anything like that. So, oh, it's by C.S. Lewis, by the way. So it was a nice first read through, if you will, and I really, really enjoyed it. From start to finish, I'm still super frustrated with this. Is his name Edmund? That guy who doesn't believe his sister. I don't like him. I didn't like him in the books, or I don't like him in the movies. I don't like him in the books, or at least the first one. I don't like him. I think his name is Edmund. He's the one that gets like Turkish delight from the Snow Queen. He's on the bad list, most definitely. Do not like that boy. And I get that C.S. Lewis also explains like certain things about Edmund and why he is the way he is, but I still don't like him. So I don't have to like him, okay? But yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, so we'll see when I can get to the sequels, but it also depends a little bit on whether or not they're available as audiobooks on Libby, so we'll see. We got 4 more books. A little bit of like a mix of different things, but I read Lore Olympus Volume 2 during one of my readathons, and I love these graphic novels. I say this now because I've only read 1 and 2, but like I'm pretty sure that I'll love the rest. I love these so much. I'm going to show you the style because I usually do that when I talk about Lore Olympus because it's a very unique style. It's very vibrant. It's very quirky and expressive as well. Very, very expressive. Kind of watercolory. Core / Persephone is the cutest character ever, and I love her so much, and I can't wait to see where the story goes. I hate a lot of the characters in it, but they're also supposed to be hateable. You're not supposed to, or dislikable. You're not supposed to like them. So congrats, Rachel Spieth. It's fine. You got what you wanted. I hate the characters, but I love Persephone. Like, look at this. How can you not love this? This is so cute. Also, it does touch on a lot of like sensitive subjects though, so like don't think it's all cuteness. Definitely some touch on anxiety and various things. Does it actually say at the start of the book? Content warning. Lore Olympus regularly deals with themes of physical and mental abuse, sexual trauma, and toxic relationships, and also anxiety. Some of the interactions in this volume may be distressing for some readers. Please exercise discretion and seek out the support of others if you require it. So definitely not just like good vibes throughout the whole thing, but I love them. I love these books. And I've already pre-ordered the 6th one without having the 5th one because I'm hoping I'll get it for my birthday. If I don't, I'm going to get it for myself. But yes, I love these very much. First one was 5 stars, the sequel is 5 stars. We'll see about the rest. I do have the 3rd and the 4th. So, but I'm like taking my time with them. I can always reread them. I didn't even say what they're about. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling. And so it's basically Persephone landing in the world of Olympus, which is a bit urban in this story. And people are just like backstabbers and nobody's really in her corner and she doesn't really know what to do. She doesn't know how to act. She doesn't know how to fit in. There's rumors about her all the time and then, you know, one thing that happens to another, she ends up in the underworld. Hades is so taken with her, but at the same time she's young and he's like, I can't. She's young, she's new. She's supposed to forever remain pure, if you get what I mean. And stuff like that. So like, I can't have her, he says to himself. But you know, like there's a lot of stuff and drama. A lot of trauma and I love this. Oh. Anyway. So, I think I want to reread volume 1 and 2 before I get to volume 3. Then a book that I finished during a readathon, because I'd gotten halfway through it and then was basically like, I kind of like stopped reading it for some reason. I think I just got distracted by a whole lot of other books, but I finished Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski, which is the Last Wish is technically the first one in the series, but in reality, Blood of Elves is the first one. So The Last Wish and Sword of Destiny are like preludes. They're short stories that are leading up to the start of the main series. So yes, if you are considering getting into the Witcher series, you should definitely read them because there's some things that happen in some of the short stories that will definitely help you get started with the main series. Also, you get introduced to Ciri, for example, and a big important plot thing as well happens in one of them. Like there's still important stuff. You don't technically need to read them, but I would still say it's a good idea to. And so this is the one where you actually meet Ciri. And I didn't like it as much as I liked The Last Wish, but I'm glad that I finished it before going into the main part of the series because again, you meet Ciri. So she's so annoying in the series though. She's a little girl. I'm very excited to see what kind of characters she grows into contra or versus how she is in the Netflix series because I know they changed it up quite a bit. She's supposed to stay younger for a lot longer in this and so I'm very excited to see how that goes and just everything else. As someone who's played, like I haven't played the games from start to finish. I have played parts of the second game and parts of the third game. So I don't really know the story, like I have bits of the story. I don't have the whole picture. And so I'm very excited to like fill in the blanks and stuff like that. Also see how it differs from the Netflix series because the first season was great, second less so, and the third, what the heck. So I think the books will just be the way to go. And I promised myself to start Blood of Elves in 2024. Imagine you have so many books you can say that. I think I'll start it in 2024. I must... So dumb. Sometimes I'm like, what have I done? Why have I done this? Do you know how much it takes to move with so many books? So much effort. I love them, don't get me wrong. I love having this many books. But again, I'm like, how can you have so many books that you can say, well, maybe I should read that this year. Maybe I'll wait until next year. I don't know. It's a crazy world, isn't it? But yes, I finished it. I want to give it like 3 point something. I don't know how much, but somewhere between 3 and 4. Not as good as The Last Wish, but I really, really enjoyed The Last Wish as well. So we got 2 more. Let's talk about Flock. So this is by Kate Stewart. It's the first one in a trilogy and it's romance, but it's not like the romance is very woven into the plot in it, but there's definitely a lot of, I don't know what you would call it because it's not a mystery, but is it a thriller plot, like a drama thriller plot going on in it? There's a bit of like a Robin Hood aspect to it. So we follow our lead girl who has ended up in this town where her father lives. He's very, very rich. she hasn't really had anything to do with him throughout her life. I think she's like 16, 17, something like that, maybe 18. Hopefully not 16. Maybe she's 19. How old are you? She's 19. Okay, she's 19. I was getting a little bit, I couldn't remember. And then I remembered some scenes and I'm like, she better not be 16. What the heck? Anyway, she's 19. So she hasn't really had anything to do with her father. He hasn't really wanted anything to do with her, but she's made a deal with him to come live with him for the summer, or possibly longer than that. I can't really remember. A year, it says on the back. In exchange for him helping her out and her mother. And, or like her mom will get something out of it. And so she has to work for him at his factory. And when she gets there, she bumps into this guy who also works at the factory, and they get along really, really well. But she also kind of gets along with his roommate really, really well. And it's kind of interesting. There's a bit of a thing. Anyway, the thing about these guys is that they have a group that, I don't know how much I can say, but just remember there's a bit of a Robin Hood aspect to it. Also, I don't know how much I can say because the first book is primarily her kind of like guessing what they're doing because she's not really brought into it, but also their growing relationship between the three of them. So definitely very heavy on the romance. I think it's considered a romance as well. There's just like this big other plot going on too that we're kind of questioning over and over and over throughout the first book. So I'm hoping to see some initiation or some more details or some, I don't know, something in book 2. But I really enjoyed this. Very bingeable. I don't want to call it smut, but there's definitely some of it in it. I don't want to call it that because there is the other plot as well. It's not just that. There is just also some spice in it. And I did mention that there were 2 guys, right? I think I did. So just keep that in mind. Okay, just keep that in mind. But I enjoyed it. I'm very excited to go into the sequel. I was planning on reading it last month, but unfortunately I ran out of time. I had 15 days where I wasn't able to read, basically. And so, unfortunately, I didn't get to it. But I'm hoping that I'll get to it very, very soon because I really enjoyed this. And then lastly, we have The Coven by Harper L. Woods. I'm happy that I saved this for last because, honestly, I don't really remember exactly what happened in this book. I think my review on Goodreads is like, it's been a week. I don't remember anything. Take from that what you will. I think I gave it 3. I can't remember. I cannot remember. All I do remember is that we have our lead character who is a witch, and she has the powers of 2 lines running through her. Normally witches only have 1. So, and hers is like, she's carrying one of the most powerful magics with her. She's trying to keep it secret, so she's basically only using her other line of magic, those powers. She's brought to this school where there's also vampires that feed on witches because they need their magic as like life force. They don't keep it, like they replenish their magic, so it's fine in that way, but the whole system is very messed up because women are kind of like, these witches are basically seen as like breeding machines a little bit as well. They have to continue their lines, they have to continue their bloodlines essentially. So some of them are seen a little bit like breeding machines, which is disgusting. The school is messed up. The teachers are messed up. She has a thing with the headmaster. And that's what I remember. It was a very quick read though. And I read it basically at night in like one go. So that's probably part of why I don't really fully remember what happened in it. I can't decide if I want to read the sequel or not. It depends a little bit on how long it is. If it's 300 pages, sure, I'll go for it. If it's longer than that, I think maybe I don't want to spend my time on it. And my camera decided to mess up completely, so I think I'm gonna have to cut it here. I don't have much to add anyway to the Coven. Maybe I'll continue it, maybe I won't. I don't know. It was a whole lot of aggressive headmastering and feeling of being entitled to a woman as well, and then, oh, there was a twist at the end. I don't know, we'll see. I'm not really decided on it. I just can't really remember much that happened in the first book, so if you have read any of the books that I talked about today, let me know your thoughts on them down below. Whether it's positive or negative, I'd love to hear you out. It's okay to disagree with me on opinions on books. I will not get hurt, so feel free to let me know if you want to share. And if you want to check out any of the books, I have left links to them in the description box, so feel free to go there and check them out. But that is all I got for you guys today, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit the thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, but also all other kinds of wrap-up videos that we still have to do here on the channel for 2023, definitely consider sticking around by clicking on the subscribe button. However, that's all I got, so I'm gonna leave you to it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.